Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure.
My name is Jim Cowan. I'm from Colorado Springs, Colorado. I moved here around 10 years ago or so. I thought of the name Armfighter because of the way the word arm wrestling translated to a lot of European companies or people, whatever you want to say. So I thought of, on Facebook, a way to get more exposure to our sport would be to make a page. And I searched a number of different ones, and I tried Armfighter, and nobody had it. So it just kind of stuck for a while. It's been up for a few weeks, and it's a pretty neat thing. I dig it. I could post up a lot of different things about what goes on. When I first got into arm wrestling, I met a guy, he was in Denver, I think at the time, Jeff Ames, with Mile High Arm Sports, and I was invited to a tournament to check it out and see if I liked it. And I went out to the tournament, and I was late, so I didn't get a chance to pull. I ended up taking a t-shirt and never really got into it. I went to like 2 practices over the next 2 years and didn't do anything with it. So for me, it was a rough point in my period because of what I was going through at the time. After I had gone to a couple practices, I had other things in my life that were going on, including my drinking seemed to be more important, and I didn't do anything with it. And in 2008, I decided I'd quit drinking and needed other hobbies to get into, and a friend of mine had said to me, "Why don't you get back into arm wrestling?" And I said, "Well, I just lied, dude. I never really did that. I just kind of ran my mouth when I drank." So this particular time in my life, it was kind of rough. So I tried to cling to anything that I could when I was getting sober. I wanted to find something to help keep me going, a reason to want to keep going. And I thought of how hard it was for my dad when he got sober. And it didn't really seem that he struggled, but I didn't realize until I, faced it on my own. When I think it was about February, March, so I was about 6-7 months sober, I got an offer to go down to Albuquerque to work, and I went to New Mexico, and I decided in my board time, why not try to get a hold of them, since someone had brought it up, why not get back into it? The thought went into my head, and the words ring out from this fella, Spencer had said to me, why don't you get back into arm wrestling? And when I had confessed and told him that it was, I bullshitted everybody and I didn't, he said, "Why not? Who cares? Are you any good? Do you know?" So, I told him what I'd heard, and the compliments that I had received at the 2 practices I went to. But I didn't really take into accord the credit behind it. So I went and made a few calls through some websites I found and got back in touch with Jeff again in 2009, excuse me. And in September of '09, I competed in my first tournament. And over the last 2.5-3 years, since I've been sober, I got back into school. I started arm wrestling. If you notice up behind me here, I've pulled a few tournaments. And my first year, I was awarded 2 pieces of hardware. And in our sport, you only get them for first, second, or third. Most of the time, it's only first or second because funding is really not there for our sport. If we had more sponsorships and things, we could probably afford better type of trophies and things. But the trophies we do get, they mean the world to the guys coming up. Shows your progress, but it gives you something to look forward to. But in my period, my first 2 of them really meant a lot because it was my first year. I had been to 2 tournaments, got 3rd place, and just felt defeated. And I went to Colorado State, October 2009, and pulled in the 198-pound weight class and ended up taking 2nd place. But to me, it sparked a fire in me that I knew I could do this. I kept pushing to try to improve. I started working on my hand strength, doing wrist curls, finger curls, a lot of different isometric and biometric type of exercises as well, where you focus on the muscles directly. I decided that I'd take it a little bit more serious, and that's when everything smacked me. My mom developed, I'm trying to think what it was called, esophageal atplasia, and the esophagus for her closed shut. And when it sees shut, 100% of her input became output. And the surgery went through at the end of February. When they finished her surgery, she reminded me that I had a tournament and asked me what I was doing with it. And I told her I really hadn't focused on it much with everything going on with her. And she kind of encouraged me to go ahead and go, that the nurses and doctors would take care of her and for me to go win my first state title. So for me it was a motivating moment. I was concerned for my mom, but she kind of, you know, it was like the movies where Rocky was told, just go win it, or whatever, you know. That was where, for me, it was kind of neat. I was inspired by that, where she pushed me to go. And this was somebody that didn't really push me a lot in my life. The neat part for me, though, was doing well. Well, in the aftermath and whatnot, I didn't do a whole lot afterwards. There was a lot of recuperative time. I spent a lot of time helping her around the house, helping things get done and everything. You know, all the way down to making food and laundry, washing dishes, normal things that you do to run your own home, but to help my mom out too. So the next tournament I pulled in was October, and I believe for November. Doesn't say. November 5th, 6th, and 7th. And that was 2010. I only pulled 2 tournaments that year, and I got 3 pieces of hardware. So in 2009 I got 2, in 2010 I got 3. In 2011, the first tournament I pulled was regionals, and I took first place in that one, and then I pulled the USA Nationals. I pulled 4 weight classes, placed in 3 of them. All 3 of the ones I placed, I took first place, 2 of them undefeated. And then I pulled the World Amateurs in Buena Park. That was a pretty neat experience for me, because I'd seen it on RTV and wanted my chance to get up there and show them what I can do. And I went and pulled and had an experience of a lifetime. It was rather bittersweet. A guy's arm broke while we were pulling. I ended up taking second place left-handed and got a silver medal, and I ended up getting first place right-handed undefeated for a gold medal. That's the 2 medals that are up here. But the cool part came again, you know, 3 weeks after that, I got to pull Colorado State Championships, and I ended up pulling 5 weight classes that day and placed in 4 of them. So for me, that was another cool experience too. I've placed everything you see here in 10 tournaments.
I'm gonna show you how great I am. All of you chumps are gonna bow when I whip him. All of you. I know you got him. I know you got him picked. But the man's in trouble. I'm gonna show you how great I am.